If you're playing Delta Force on Xbox or PlayStation, then I've got 10 essential settings you need to know about before you start playing. So first up, let's talk about crossplay. You're going to find this under the game settings. This is the first tab that comes up when you hit the start button. You can see crossplay toggle at the top of the screen here. Now what this does is this should turn off crossplay between console and PC. It's not going to turn off crossplay between console. So if you turn this off and you're playing on PlayStation, you should still be able to see Xbox players and vice versa. Mobile doesn't have crossplay with any of it, so you'll never play against mobile players. But if you have this on, then PC players and console players will be playing in the same lobbies together. There is cross progression across all three platforms, so you can have the same account linked on mobile, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. That means you'll get the same stash, all your unlocks, your black site, your money, etc. Be all completely shared between those, but there's no cross-play with mobile on the other platforms. I'd recommend turning this off if you're jumping on console. It's going to be hard work playing against mouse and keyboard. On Warfare, a bit less of an issue, but on Operations, it's going to be incredibly difficult because there's a lot of time spent in-map where you're trying to manage your inventory in the middle of a game, move things around, stuff like that, and it's just going to be impossible to do that at the speed that someone could do it on a mouse and keyboard. Even if you ignore that and ignore the fact that mouse and keyboard's going to have an advantage over aim assist players on controller, you've also got the fact that PC players have been playing this game for the last 9 months mostly, so they just have a wealth of game knowledge, map knowledge, mechanics knowledge, stuff like this that is also going to give them an advantage. So if you want to have a bit more of a chill time and ease yourself in, turn off crossplay and you're going to have a much better experience playing this game on console initially. And you can always turn it on if you want to play with your PC friends or a bit later down the line when you're a bit more used to the game. That could affect your matchmaking and make it slower. I think initially that probably won't be a problem for console, but if you find your matchmaking's a little slow, then turn this on and that will help. Another interesting setting to know about is over on the audio tab, there is the copyright music playback setting. You can have this off or on, and this isn't just a thing for streamers and YouTubers or whatever. It's actually quite useful for anyone. So there's a bunch of different situations in the game where it will play music. You get supply drops, there's certain missions where it plays music, and you might enjoy that music, you might not, but turning this to off means that music just won't play at all. It won't replace it with copyright free music, it just won't play the music. So if you don't want to have kind of intrusive loud music playing in an operations map during a mission or an extraction or something like that, you can just turn it off here. That'll get rid of that. If it's spoiling your immersion, if it's stopping you hearing footsteps, turn it off, it gets rid of that music. Another big one to look at is in your graphics tab. We now have the default FOV settings. This has been added into the game. We didn't see it in the early access, but it is now put in. I think at default it's about 90. I've put mine up to max 120. Obviously that's completely up to you what you put it at, but generally people would tend to raise this up a bit, makes the game feel a bit faster and gives you a bit of a wider field of view. I've just put it on max and that's working well for me on the PS5 version. Another option on the graphics tab is the performance mode. You can see here there's an option for graphics or frame rate. This is basically whether it prioritizes having nicer graphics or a more stable frame rate. The frame rate is capped at 60, so it's not going to go above that if you put it on the frame rate mode. And I found on just a normal PS5, this isn't a PS5 Pro, the game seemed to run at a stable 60 FPS on both modes. So I didn't really see a point in running on the frame rate mode. Perhaps if you're playing in Warfare with lots of players, you might notice more fluctuations in your frame rate, and then you might want to put frame rate priority rather than graphics. But for Operations, I think graphics seems to work fine, at least on PS5. Maybe Series S, you might need to look at the frame rate mode potentially. So for the next one, we've got a bit of a triple whammy. Don't say I don't give you good value. We've got a few settings here. First up is auto run tactical sprint. So this is under the controller settings and then onto the control tab. By default, this one is set to auto run. And what that means is if you push the left stick just a little bit, you're just going to start running really, really fast. Or auto tactical sprint, you'll start sprinting immediately pretty much when you push the stick. It's not very finesse and it's not very nice to use. What you need to do is change this to close, and then that means you can make a small input in the stick and you'll move slowly, and you push it a little bit more and you'll move a little bit more quickly, and you push it all the way and you'll start running, and then when you click in or press whatever button you've bound to sprint, then you'll sprint. So it gives you that better analog control over your movement. There's also two other auto settings we're going to look at while we're in here. There is auto hold breath, so that's down here in combat. I've got that on at the moment. That means whenever you ADS, you'll automatically hold your breath to steady your aim. If you want to control that manually, turn that off and you can bind a button button or use the default bind in order to hold your breath when you want. And lastly, there's also ADS auto lean peek. So if you have this enabled, then when you try and take cover behind an object and then peek around it or ADS around it, your character will automatically lean. You won't have to click to do a lean. Your character will do it automatically. It can be useful. Sometimes it can be a little bit annoying and peek when you're looking over things and maybe you don't want to peek to the side. You just want to look straight up. So it's a bit hit and miss, but there's that setting if you want to try it out. Next up, we've got some Safebox settings you can manage in the game tab. If we go down to system, you can see we've got these two Safebox settings here. Put high value items in Safebox first, and also the value threshold for items to put in your safe box first. So what this means is basically if you pick up an item that has a base value of 10,000 or more, we got it set at, then that will automatically be put in your safe box if there's space. You can bring this down if you wanted, or you can put it up so it only prioritizes particularly rare items. It goes up to, I think, 30, 40k here, which is probably pretty high. I tend to have mine on about 10, feels like it works well, but you may want to put that a little bit higher, and that'll help you with your safe box management. Your safe box is your container that you can put things in during an operations raid, and if you die, then you won't lose the items that are in your safe box. Another useful setting in this tab is limit med durability and loadout. This one's a little bit more confusing when you're new to the game. Basically, if you're using a preset loadout that you've made or you're buying your past loadout, when you do that sometimes, it might pull in damaged old meds like a 1 out of 4 repair that you don't really want, and then you have to manually take it out and buy a new one and put it in, or it brings it in a half-used repair kit that's not going to be any use to you. What this number here is the minimum percent durability the repairs and meds have to have on for it to pull them into a loadout. So if I set this up to 80% or so, then it's only going to pull in a med into a loadout like that if it's over 80% durability, and if I don't own one that's 80% or over, then it'll buy a fresh one for us. Another one here I like to have on, but not everyone does, is automatic airborne mantle. This means that when you're jumping around and there's a ledge you can grab onto, as long as you're pushing a direction on the stick, you'll automatically grab onto it and start pulling yourself up. Sometimes it can be annoying when you're trying to drop down and you keep grabbing onto ledges, but I like to have it on. I feel it helps me get around the map in a bit more of a fluid way. We also have some stash settings you can look at the bottom on this page. Different items sorting on separate rows, auto sort when opening stash, and also stash items sorting order. So if you look at my stash here, you can see it's a bit of a mess and there's stuff all over the place. This is just on the test server, by the way. And if we go to these settings, we can change the order stuff is shown in. So if we go to this, you can see we can move these things around. Let's say we want to put key cards at the top, and then we want my guns, and then gear, and then attachments underneath my guns, perhaps. You can do that. Then you can also set auto sort whenever it opens your stash, so it does that. And then you can have these on separate rows or not. So if I show you these on separate rows, you can see it's automatically sorted my stash. Let's put it in the order we just mentioned, and it puts different types of things on different rows. If we went back and changed the different row setting, it will make it a little bit more compact, but it does also get a little bit messy. You can see there it's squeezed everything in to fill all of the spaces to maximize my stash space there. It's also worth knowing about your audio settings in terms of your mic and your squad chat. If you go down to audio and to voice, then you have your chat channel here. The squad setting here actually means you're just talking to your party, essentially. So if you've created a party with friends in the Delta Force lobby, that's what squad is. If you're playing with random squads, with squad fill, you've just queued up and it's put you in a team with a couple of other people that you don't know, you'll need to have this set to all in order to talk to them. That's not proximity chat. There's no prox chat with enemies in this game at the moment. This is just amongst your team. But if you want to speak to random players when you're playing, you need to have that set to all, or obviously you can just turn it off as well if you don't want chat at all. And then over on mic mode switch, you can select whether you're pressing to speak on a particular button or having your mic always on, but please don't have your mic always on. So that's everything for today. Don't forget to drop a like and a sub if you enjoyed the video, and check out my creator code down in the comments below if you want to get discounted Delta coins.